It's been an incredible start for Hansi Flick since taking over as Bayern boss in November 2019. Tallying 40 wins, 5 draws, and only 5 losses, he's helped the Bavarian Giants lift numerous titles, including last year's Bundesliga, DFB Pokal, and Champions League trophy. But there's a new Flick in town. Yes, after seeing all the comments, we'll finally be attempting a Bayern 2 career mode challenge, trying to become the best Flick in Bayern and also add some silverware for this club. But your name certainly doesn't need to be Flick if you want to take on this career mode challenge for yourself, outlining some of the criteria that you want to follow, looking to replicate FC Bayern's transfers in each window. Let's take Gerard Piqué as a potential transfer as an example, since they always tend to sign him in career mode. We would then look to sign a Spanish center back. Along with that, looking to build upon the players from Germany and the United States. Myself being a dual citizen, I thought it would be a cool twist to sign as many players as possible from that country, and Bayern actually have a couple of talented American and German talent in their squad already. Of course, we'll be adding more players via the youth academy system, but the final objective is to collect more silverware than Hansi Flick and eventually make Bayern 2 the best club in Munich. If you're excited about this concept and want to see some more career mode challenges in the future, leave a like on the video and consider subscribing if you haven't yet. It's the best way to stay up to date when new videos go live. Coming off a very successful 1920 season that saw FC Bayern 2 win the Dritte title, they are still in this league both IRL and in FIFA. That's probably to avoid conflicts of having multiple FC Bayern teams in the same league, but it certainly makes for an interesting concept for a career mode. Youth development always being a critical objective. But we're going to kick off the signings by promoting our homegrown talent. This is a pre-order bonus that we get a part of every career mode save. Dennis Arnold being a center mid from Germany, 17 years old, fairly low on the overall side at 63, but he'll be just fine for the Dritte Liga. Actually has a lot of statistics similar to Michael Ballack, who also played for FC Bayern for a couple of years in his career, the only difference being that he is left-footed. But we're going to look to complete part of our youth development objective straight off the bat and promote a couple of other players from our youth academy. Petr Masek, a right mid slash left mid from the Czech Republic, has a good amount of potential. Pretty similar stats to Nedved. We just need to improve the weak foot to 5-star. And then the final signing that we'll be making is Peter Smith, an Australian center back. And just like that, we've completed our youth development objective. I always recommend taking care of this early on, especially for simulation heavy career modes like these career mode challenges, because that keeps your manager rating high. And I feel like it does make a difference for the simulated results. We're also going to make a couple of changes to our senior squad, letting a few players return back to their parent club. Alexander Lungwitz included in that list, a 19-year-old left back. We're recalling Chris Richards. He's on loan at Hoffenheim for the latest squad file. And of course, with him being American, we want him part of the career mode challenge. Finally, we'll be letting Lenny Borges return to his parent club. So with our new youth academy promotions and changes to our senior squad, this is going to be the current starting 11. 4-3-3 defensive being our formation of choice for the time being. You can see I've included our homegrown talent Arnold at the left center mid position, and we'll kind of see how some of these original Bayern players develop over the course of the years. We have 6.65 million to work with in the transfer budget, so we should have no problem signing some additional players. And Bayern do kick off the transfers by signing Upamecano from Leipzig. Obviously a solid option in career mode and someone that has a lot of potential as well, but that means for us, we'll be looking to sign a French center back as well with Umar Soleil from RB Salzburg, not Leipzig. And this former Lyon man used to have a lot of potential in career mode, still a decent player and hovering around the 80 potential mark. That can go up with dynamic potential. It works out quite well for us because we've got a lot of talented and high potential center backs here at Bayern. And now that we've added Soleil, we can switch to a 3 center back formation rather than one with 2 center backs and 2 fullbacks. We had a couple of transfer offers coming in for Chris Richards, including some interest from a Premier League side in Spurs, but there's no way we'll be letting him go. And instead, we'll be transfer listing some of our older players here at the club. I also recommend doing this if you decide to take on the career mode challenge, because you'll be looking to build players from the youth and not so much experienced players. That means Feldhan, Welsmuller, and Kern will all be leaving the side, adding some additional transfer balance that we can now use toward adding another youth academy scout, starting with a 1-star scout from Germany. Not exactly ideal, but probably realistic for a Dritte Liga side, setting up a network in Germany for 9 months. And how I'll be expanding upon our youth academy system is that each season I'll be slowly upgrading our scouts. So this year I'll sign a 2-star scout. Next year maybe a 3-star. The year after that 4-star. until we eventually reach the 5-star scout point. But with the new scout added to our repertoire, we'll be heading to the United States for 9 months looking for any type of player. And now switching over to the dead plan sort of things, I actually found out that Dennis Arnold is much better as a center forward than he is a center mid. That resulted in a +8 to his overall, and we'll be sticking the ever useful Bombardier dead plan to help improve his pace and shooting stats. Pushing on, we'll be making the most dead plan changes in season 1, just a couple of slight adjustments after this. Masic switching to the inverted wide midfielder dead plan to help boost that weak foot. Oberlin is going to be switching to right winger because we've got too many strikers in this team already. I also gave him a nice +1 upgrade. Niklas Kuhn going to left winger rather than the right winger, and the thought process for this is that I think it's best served for a left-footed player to be playing on the left side. A slight change for Angelo Stiller as he'll be moving from center defensive mid to center mid, a +2 in his rating. And that is all the dead plan changes for now. With all those modifications, we've switched up our formation once again. This will be the final time we do so, at least for a couple of seasons. Finally settling on the 3-4-2-1 formation. Like I mentioned earlier, this utilizes the 3 center backs that we've got available, as well as a couple of talented center attacking mids, wingers, and center forward / strikers. We're finally set to kick off our Dritte Liga season here in Germany, and we don't exactly get off to the best start, losing our opening match 1-0 against Haching. And as we fast forward to the beginning of the January transfer window, we take a look at the standings. It hasn't gone to plan. We're sitting 12th place, not exactly out of question of seeing promotion this year, but certainly quite a few points behind the top 3, which would get us at least a promotion playoff battle. Some good growth in our squad though, and that's a slight positive we can take away. Because we promoted so many youth academy players at the start of the season, I decided to not sign a real player here in the January transfer window. I want to make sure we can at least develop some of these original Bayern players and see if they can lift us up to the Zweite Liga. We drew our derby against 1860 München, and in the middle of our simulation, one of our youth academy players, Caleb Long, from the United States, wanted to be promoted to the senior squad. Actually, a really good player to come through from a 2-star scout. An overall of 64, and more importantly, has the potential of 85 to 94. 5-star skill moves as well. So it looks like we'll have another winger in the team, along with Bruce Perry, a center midfielder from the United States. 59 overall, 79 to 93 potential. We ended up seeing a pretty big comeback for us in the league, eventually finishing in 4th place. Still slightly below what we needed to potentially see promotion to the next league, but still a respectable outing, as it was Arnold who was the standout player for us, at least in terms of goals scored. 12 goals from 36 appearances. Oberlin and Tillman also put in a pretty good contribution. I think assists is where we were lacking. Singh was the only player to put in a lot of assists this season, 8 from 38, and then just a bunch of players on 1 assist. Also good growth from Singh as he looks to secure his place in the midfield for the team. I would say top growth is the area I'm most interested in though, and of course Arnold was the player that experienced the most growth. +8 from his position change, and he eventually saw a +12 at the end of the season. Masic was sent out on loan and he saw a +9 while he was over at Molde. And like I was talking about, Stiller is one of those hidden gems for a FC Bayern 2 career mode. Saw +2 right away by moving to a center mid, and then he saw a +3 on top of that to hit 71 for his overall. Scrolling through some of the top categories in the league, we had 1 appearance for top scorers. Arnold in 5th with 12 goals from 36. Singh finished as the most assists in the Bundesliga with 8 assists from 38. And then finally, we had a respectable outing from Hoffmann, 14 clean sheets from 38 as well, finishing in 3rd. In order to compare our progress against Hansi, we will be looking at Bayern's achievements throughout the course of this career mode. They ended up winning the Bundesliga by a fair margin, 14 points ahead of Dortmund, finishing with 89 points from 34 matches. That's 1 trophy for FC Bayern. Unfortunately, I couldn't take a look at the Pokal because we weren't involved in that competition this year, but Hansi did not win either Champions League or Europa League, so we're not too far behind him. Although we didn't see promotion to the Zweite Bundesliga, our squad is still in good shape and our manager rating is in the green. So we'll push on to season 2 and see if we can finally get that promotion. Although promotion will be the primary objective for us this season, I really would like to hone in on some more FC Bayern inspired transfers to gradually improve this team. I don't see any reason we can't achieve back-to-back promotion considering the amount of funds that we have. So if this season goes well, we may even find ourselves in the Bundesliga in a few years' time. A couple of additions to the team. Fruchtel is returning from his loan. He'll become our starting goalkeeper along with Lars Lucas Ma. You might recall the name He's a pretty popular signing for German road to glory saves. Still not sure if he's going to be in our starting 11 or whether I plan on sending him out on loan, because both are very useful ways to see a player's overall improve. But it looks like we'll be focusing on our midfield in this summer transfer window, as Bayern have signed Yuri Tielemans from Leicester for 79.4 million. Of course, the Belgian has been a career mode gem really since FIFA 16. He was at Anderlecht at that point in his career, and he may have even had some other high potential additions prior to that FIFA. But as far as our transfers are concerned, we're going to look to Club Bruges and sign Thomas van den Kiebus, a center mid. But the main thing about him is that he can also play out on the wing, a versatile player for sure. It's kind of tough at this point making transfers because not a lot of players are willing to relocate to Germany and a third division side. But hopefully Van den Kiebus is someone that can grow over the course of a few seasons. We will be sticking the left midfield depth plan on him. That'll give him a +1 to his overall. And even if he doesn't find his way into the starting 11 yet, this gives us a very capable squad rotational player. I'm not going to talk about every player that's a part of the club in the summer transfer window. Van den Kiebus was the only permanent deal. Outside of that, just a lot of players going out on loan. I figured there's no reason to have too much of a squad here. We just need enough players to cover any injuries that might happen. And just in case, I'm going to be promoting Anton Long from our youth academy. He's a 90 to 94 potential winger from Germany. He's going to fit right into our substitutes, as this looks to be the team taking on this second season. But before we get into any further simulation, I wanted to promote one more scout. With this being our second season, we can sign a 3-star scout. And what I want to do about this is that we'll have our typical scouting networks in Germany as well as the United States, but I'll also scout any other countries that have ties to the Bundesliga. So for this year, we're going to be setting up a network in Peru for 9 months. The rationale for this is that Claudio Pizarro has what I believe to be the most appearances by a foreign player in the Bundesliga. He also played for Bayern a good portion of his career, so this works out great. But as we hop into the simulated fixtures, we had quite the run in the Pokal. The first year that we're eligible for this competition, picking up a 3-0 win in the first round against Osnabrück, as we match up against Stuttgart in the second round. And a bit of an upset with a 1-0 victory, a single shot on target, but we'll absolutely take that. Our luck was unable to continue against Hoffenheim though, as in the third round we suffered a 3-0 loss. But checking into the squad at the beginning of the January transfer window, we find ourselves top of the Dritte Liga with 37 points from 19 matches. The one thing I'll say is that I'd like to increase that gap from second place Ingolstadt and third place Waldhof Mannheim. While both first and second place achieve automatic promotion, we're looking to add as much silverware as possible, so finishing first will be a big priority. The squad though is meeting all the objectives we set out, those gradual improvements that we were looking for, and we're going to look to build upon that by replicating a Bayern transfer. They brought in Luis Alberto from Lazio for 62.5 million. That means we're going to be looking for a Spanish center attacking mid. Of course, Luis Alberto, a very versatile player, and we're going to sign someone that has kind of a similar play style. Dylan Pereira is a center attacking mid, but he can also play striker. Although we brought him in for well above his market value, I still think this is a good deal just because we can use him in a number of different positions. And if we actually get into any gameplay fixtures, he has the 4-star skill moves and a 3-star weak foot combo. To offset that pretty significant transfer, we're going to let our backup goalkeeper Hoffman go. He played a role for the club, helped us secure a top half of the table finish in season 1, but I think it's best that we bring in whatever funds we can here, as he'll be heading to Liga MX and Lyon for the rest of his career. But this will be the team now. As you can see, Pereira is in the substitutes. I don't think he's quite ready to make it into the first team. And really, there's no rationale to make major changes to the starting 11. We're in first place for a reason, and we just need to continue our current form. It's going to start getting very interesting for youth academy stuff because one of our players want to get promoted. That's Donald Campbell, a right winger from the United States. But the player I'm most interested in is Otto. This is the first time in one of my career modes that I've ever had a player with the same first and last name. I actually just made a community post about this on the channel, and some of y'all were sharing some of your players that have a similar first and last name combo, but we did end up winning the Dritte Liga by a significant margin, so the second half of the season was even better than the first half. That'll give us our first trophy for the club. We'll also check in on FC Bayern in a little bit of time, but first covering the top goal scorers. Again, it's Dennis Arnold putting up big numbers, 20 goals from 41 appearances. Jaco Nkun also putting up double-digit numbers for the goals and assists. It's Singh that leads the way, so amazing to see all the contribution he can make from the midfield. But getting into top growth, Caleb Long was the player that saw the most growth in his overall +8 while he was out on loan. Tillman was also sent on loan for the first time in this save as he went up +6 while he was over at Pumas in Liga MX. And finally, we've got Dennis Arnold. No dev plan or position changes this time, just natural +6 growth here. Recapping some of the top categories across the Dritte Liga, Arnold was the top goal scorer with 20 goals from 38 matches. We had the most assists with Singh, 7 assists from 37, and we also had the most clean sheets. Amazing to see what Fruchtel has done in his first season here at FC Bayern. But unfortunately, Hansi Flick did get another trophy here with Bayern winning the Bundesliga, albeit this time just by 2 points. But fortunately for us, Dortmund got their revenge. Bayern didn't even make the final for this competition as Dortmund won over Hoffenheim 2-1 in the final. City won Champions League, and the Europa League went to Spurs in an all-English final. I'm pretty sure we've achieved the same manager rating this season as we did last year, as again, we are in the green. All things to play for here as we push on to the Schweizer Bundesliga, and fingers crossed we can see back-to-back promotion. It's always a bit unnerving when you get promoted to a new league because you can never really tell how competition is going to be against some new clubs. We've got some new derbies now that we are in the Schweizer Bundesliga, the likes of FC Nuremberg, who have been relegated apparently. But I think if we can keep relying on players like Arnold and Singh to keep getting goals and assists, we can find ourselves in a pretty comfortable position here in a new league. As far as what areas of the team I'd like to improve, maybe we need to make an addition to our defense because Arjen Bibi, while he has a good amount of potential, isn't growing too quickly. Of course, that depends on the transfers that Bayern make. So we'll see how things go. But to start off with, I figure we may as well make some changes to Otto. If I have any control over this guy's potential, I'm going to try giving him starts to hopefully have dynamic potential take over. It's also going to be a big boost to change him from a center mid to striker. It's a +8 to his overall, so he's already on better terms. But getting into the Bayern inspired transfer, they signed a player from the Brazilian league. Again, I don't know if this is a real player, but Di Leonardo is a decent right back, up to an 81 overall at this point in the save. And that means we're going to look for an Uruguayan right back here with Lautaro Pertusati. Again, not quite someone that's going to make their way into the starting 11, especially with him being a right back and us using a 3 at the back formation. But he's a versatile player, can potentially be depth plan changed over to a center back, and he's certainly going to make his way into the substitutes. Looking at our starting 11 at the end of the summer transfer window, you can see I've slowly started to incorporate some of our youth academy promotions here. I think that's been one of the most successful aspects of this challenge so far, and hopefully that'll continue here as we look to upgrade our 1-star scout. With us being in season 3, we can now sign a 4-star scout, this one being from Austria, and to go with the typical scouting networks in Germany for 9 months as well as the United States for 9 months, we're heading to Poland. Robert Lewandowski is really on track to beat the single season goal scoring record set by Gerd Müller several years ago. And from a global perspective, I think he is one of, if not the most recognizable Bundesliga talent right now in the league. So if we can sign a Polish striker, that would be amazing. But again, as we get into these simulated fixtures, it's the Pokal that we'll focus on and another rematch against Osnabrück. We beat them 3-0 in the first round last time. This year we'll beat them 2-0. Hamburg, I believe, have achieved promotion to the Bundesliga at this point in the save, so a fairly difficult fixture in the second round. Unfortunately, the match went to penalties and they defeated us 5-4. To go along with that, we only managed a 1-1 draw in a derby fixture against Nuremberg, so not the best start to this third season campaign. The opposite is the case for some clubs like Bielefeld, who I think this is the first time I've seen 4 players from the same club be up for candidates as player of the month. And the bad news kind of continues for us because one of our starting center backs, Soleil, is out for 7 months, basically the entire season. So we'll have to have our new signing fill in from the right back position at center back. We were in a tough position going into the January transfer window. On one hand, I think we've got the quality in our side to not even have to make any more signings. You can see we're basically mid-table, 10th place, but a lot of teams hovering around there, just 3 or 4 points separating us. And if we can start catching form at the right time and recalling some of our talents, like Anton Long, who's on loan at Union Berlin, I don't see any reason we can't get to third and make that playoff final push. For starters though, we're going to change Long's position from right midfield to left winger. That's mostly because he can focus on the inverted winger depth plan, which gives the big boost to the shooting stats. And while Bayern are going to continue making transfers, signing Luis Felipe, a Brazilian center back, into their team, I really didn't feel like signing any more defenders. We've already brought in 2 already. We don't need to add a third, and we've just got 1.1 million to work with in our transfer budget. Unfortunately though, as we continued with the simulation, you can see our manager rating is not in a great state. Only 40 for the manager, and as we get into a crucial derby against Waldorf Mannheim, we only secure a draw. And as a result, our contract has been terminated by the board. I think the scorelines that come from simulated fixtures need some fine tuning from EA. Hopefully that's something that is added into future installments of FIFA. We do have some positives to take out of the situation though, because we've got a good job offer here from Greuther Fürth. They're another side in the Zweite Bundesliga. They're also mid-table. To go along with that, they've got another American talent and former US men's national team player, Julian Green, in their starting 11. He scored a goal in the 2014 World Cup, and while he doesn't have the most potential anymore, you never know what might happen in career mode with dynamic potential, and I think this would be a good option to bring in Otto into this Greuther Fürth team if we decide to continue this series for another episode. I'll leave that up to y'all though. If you want to see this continued, maybe drop a comment as we look to expand upon the career mode series and start uploading some different kinds of videos as well. But if you did enjoy this career mode challenge, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. But until next time, this has been Flick. I'll be talking to y'all again soon.